on not the Evening Rush Network. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Live by the Three Sports Podcast on the Evening Rush Network. This is Coach Matt checking in with my main man Tyler. TB, how you doing, man? You gotta, we won't reveal too much, because, we don't want people.
They after me. They watching me.
Yeah, they're right, exactly. So, we'll just say you got a little change of scenery.
A little change of scenery.
We'll leave it at that. But how's everything going, man? We've been away for a little bit. Let's catch up.
Good. Right? Good. It's been busy, work and everything, but everything's good.
All right, good. It's supposed to be summer, but it's like 60 degrees outside. But today's the first official day of summer. But we're getting there. So it's off season for a lot of sports. Obviously, football, basketball is off season, but we got the NBA draft tonight. So I think the coverage just started at 8:00. So we're right in sync with that. But before we jump into what's going on in the world of sports and basketball, particularly right now, because that's what's popping off. Ty, why don't you catch everybody up on how everybody can follow and support the show?
All streaming networks, devices, Amazon Fire Stick, YouTube, Live by the Three on Instagram, the Evening Rush Network on Instagram. Anywhere with streaming services, that's where you can find us.
Absolutely. And please download the app, the Evening Rush Network app, so you can catch our show as well as other programming that comes on the channel. A lot of different mixes of different topics, talk shows, but there's also music, live DJ sets and stuff. So, lots of entertainment on the app. So please download that. And, like Ty said, please follow us on social media, the Evening Rush Network. Check in and check us out. So why don't we jump right in, man? So it's the NBA offseason. The Nuggets won the whole championship. We haven't been on since that happened. I'll just throw in that the Nuggets won, but the Miami Heat managed to win at least one game. So some other teams couldn't figure out how to get one, but the Heat got one. So, but we'll leave it at that. The NBA's been a little bit busy over the last few days leading up to the draft, and we'll definitely touch on the draft once those picks start coming in, and we'll keep y'all updated on what's going on with that. But it was a big blockbuster today, I would say, right? For as far as names go, Chris Paul, he got traded with the whole Bradley Beal deal to the Suns, and he was floating out there for a little bit, and then the trade went through, and he's a Golden State Warrior. And that happened a couple of hours ago. So, we'll talk about that. But I guess a couple of things that transpired within the Warriors is Jordan Poole got traded. He's on Washington now. So he was a guy that, played well for them. They averaged about 20 last season, and he was one of their young up-and-coming guys. Obviously, him and Draymond Green had their issues. But he played well this season, but now he's with the Washington Wizards. And then Draymond is a free agent. He opted out of his contract, but they're saying that they want him back and they want to figure out how to bring him back. So, but what are your thoughts about Chris Paul joining the Warriors? What are your thoughts on where that puts them in the Western Conference now?
I don't know. I don't really like that trade too much.
Interesting.
I don't know where he's going to play. At. It just seems like he's really chasing the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? I don't know. I'm not really a Chris Paul fan. So
I got you. So now, all right. So why do you think? Obviously the Warriors are an older team. And if they traded Jordan Poole, who's one of their younger players, it seems like they're kind of like in that, okay, we're going to try to ride it out with some veterans for this one last push with these guys. So from their perspective, why do you think they brought in Chris Paul? I mean, obviously he's going to be a Hall of Famer, but why, you said you don't think it's a good fit, but why do you think they did it?
That might have been the best that they can get for his contract.
Okay.
contract. I think they might have made that move to. I think maybe Draymond might have gave him an ultimatum, like I'll come back. You got to be out of here, that type of thing.
Get this dude out of here.
Yeah. So I think it was, I think it was more of a convenience just to find him a place just to, to unload the contract.
Right. And I think I did see that a little bit too. Not, obviously you had the Draymond situation with Poole at the beginning of the year, but, he did show like some immature ways, throughout the season. And, they're a mature team. So, yeah, it could be Draymond saying that, but, obviously, Steph's going to have a say-so in what goes on, I would assume, and Klay Thompson to some degree also. And even if they didn't come in and say, yeah, get him out of here, maybe they were approached and said, hey, what would you think about us making this type of move and stuff like that? So I'm going to assume that, they gave their stamp of approval to make it happen.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so, they might have thought that, if you're looking at it from a basketball perspective, maybe their goal is now to have Steph with the ball in his hand less, and maybe, like have Chris Paul kind of, bring the ball up and just let, Steph and Klay just run off screens and obviously they play that open style where you don't need a point guard to dictate, but maybe just take more of the ball handling pressure off of Steph and just let him run off the screens and Klay also and play that way. Maybe that's the route they're choosing to go with Chris Paul. I don't know if it's going to work. You can't say it's not going to work because those guys are all good, but it's going to be a little different.
He dominates the ball too much.
Right.
So it'd be interesting to see, because if he doesn't have the ball, then what is he, 2?
No, I would just say it's just like he's just going to be at the top of the key, and it's just going to be Klay and Steph just running off screens, and he just going to pass it. They pop open, he going to hit them like that. That's what and it's going to be more catch and shoot. I don't know.
You think he fits their offense?
Oh, well, not yeah. That's a great point because now you got, Steph, who's not a great defender out there, and Chris Paul, now 38 years old, so defensively, yeah, that might,
Don't be surprised if Chris Paul get moved again.
Really? No? Yeah.
That might have been just to get, because I don't see how that's going to work. Because they super small. That means that Steph is 2 now.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And they had their little beef, their little on and off beef too. So it'd be a little interesting. Right. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. He dribbled too much for me, so I don't know how how that's gonna work.
Well, but if he's at that point in his career where, like you said, zebras don't change their stripes, right? But if he's at the point in his career where he's just like, you know what, I'm 38, I'm trying to get this ring. I don't care. I'll just pass it to these dudes every time down the floor.
But if he does get it, how valid is it then? Right.
Because then it's like, what are you paying for? Because you're paying him a lot of money just to, be a ball. Yeah, I get it.
You've been on every Western Conference team. Like every Western Conference powerhouse, you've been on that team.
Right, and that was going to be my next. That was going to be my next. My follow-up question. So now you got Chris Paul. You got Klay Thompson. You got Steph. Obviously, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with Draymond. He's an unrestricted free agent now, so he can go to another situation. But I would assume that he would want to go back there, especially now with Jordan Poole not being there, and reuniting with his crew, and now you add Chris Paul into the mix. So where do you think that puts them? Obviously it's going to shake out a bunch of different ways, but where do you think that puts them Western Conference? Like, do you think they're still like a potential top 3-4 team if they can keep that core together? Let's assume that Draymond comes back.
They'll be in the middle of the pack.
Middle of the pack, okay.
They'll be in the middle of the pack. Because even though Jordan Poole, like, that's 20 points a game you're missing.
Yeah.
Chris Paul's not giving you 20 points a game.
No. No.
And not even the 20 points, just the offensive threat.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's that part of it.
Well,
unless you're going to rock, the plan is Chris Paul to be rocking when they're on the bench. But who he going to rock with?
Right. Now let me throw this at you. And I don't know this. all of those dudes is getting a little up there in age. Clay and Steph. They got some tread on the tires now. Do you think that maybe they're gonna? I don't want to say totally switch the way they play, but like that, that takes a the amount of movement that those guys do, running like that takes a toll on you. Oh, it's been working for them, and that's their system. But do you think maybe they have to slow it down a little bit more and just do some more okay, we're just going to use these, we're just going to, set a whole bunch of down screens and staggers and try to free these guys up for shots because, they got, they're plus 10 years in the league and they've been doing a lot of running around. Like maybe they're looking at it like we got to change up a little bit as far as how fast we play with all these, moving all around the court as much because these dudes is getting older. You don't think maybe that's it? They're going to go a little bit more conventional?
No, I don't see them. They would have to change their whole offense. No, I don't see that.
Yeah, I just, like I said, I don't know any. I'm just thinking out loud.
Because now, what does Draymond do?
Screen, screen and dribble.
Hold up court no more. Like, what does he do?
That? There you go. I mean, I would think that if Chris Paul is being realistic and he's like, yo, I'm 38 years old, I haven't won, I just want to win a ring. So yeah, he's been ball dominant his whole career. But you know what? If he's been paying attention and he's been on the West Coast and he knows, yo, if Draymond gets this rebound, he's not necessarily going to outlet it to me. He's going to bring it down and initiate offense. You know what? If that happens a few times a game, you would hope that Chris Paul at this point in his career would be like, you know what? I'm all right with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take my breath, because that's shit. He's 38. Like, he might be looking at like, I can take a breath then. Okay, let him push it. I don't know.
But that's all contingent if he's healthy.
Absolutely. All of those guys. And if Draymond comes back, I mean, I think he wants to come back, but obviously he could opt, he unrestricted free agent, so he can sign for top dollar, and even if he goes back to the Warriors, they're gonna have to pay him, whatever he feels his market is. But yeah. So we'll see. Okay. So that was the big one today. But to me, the really big one was, guy that's been talked about and been a good player in the league for a long time, Bradley Beal, getting out of Washington. And now he's going to the Phoenix Suns, so he's going to team up with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And that gives them a lot of firepower. But I was curious when I saw the trade because I'm like, what are they going to do now? Like, how are they going to play? Because you got Bradley Beal's not a point guard, Devin Booker's not a point guard, and Kevin Durant is not a point guard. So to me, you got two guards out. Kevin Durant obviously 7 feet tall, but you got 2 guards out there, or two guards and a 3-man. So I'm trying to figure. Obviously, it's gobs of talent and scoring ability out there, but how are you going to play them? Is Kevin Durant playing the 4 now?
Who's the coach? Frank Vogel?
Yes. Or are you just going to say we have no true point guard and just let Bradley Beal and Booker just initiate? You know what I mean? Like I'm just trying to figure it out because they don't have Chris Paul anymore. Okay, so but are you bringing in another point guard? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like a crazy point guard when you have that much scoring talent. But if you do bring in a point guard, is Kevin Durant playing the 4? Or do you just say, nah, we're just going to rock out with them 3 dudes and, one of them will just have the ball handling. Maybe, Booker brings it down one time and Beal brings it up. But, I don't know. But I don't.
Bill's on the guard?
What's that?
Bill could play the point, right?
I mean, he's a scorer. He's off the ball. He's a wing scorer. But maybe they feel that they could initiate offense. I would assume that's the plan because you're not putting Kevin Durant at the 4, are you?
Might. I was.
I mean, he's tall enough, obviously, but I mean, you really want him. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Tell me what this emotion. Tell me about these tears.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that trade.
So same thing. So same question. Where do you think that puts them in the West?
I think that puts them. I mean, it's definitely an upgrade over Chris Paul.
Yeah, for sure. Youth wise and scoring wise and defense.
I think that puts them at the top where they at. I think that keeps them at the top. If they can figure out that point guard, think that position, they gave up a lot, though.
Yeah.
They gave up 6 second-round picks. They gave up a lot.
Well, I mean, let's look at it this way. If you're in the Western Conference, do you feel like you have to do that because of the monster that Denver played like this year? Do you feel like you have to like go all out and load up because that's the only way you might be able to unseat those guys?
I don't know. I think that's what they was missing, though. Another scorer.
Yeah. Okay. I don't disagree. I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to do it. You know, and it's not to say that you need a prototypical point guard, a setup. It's not necessarily that. But then at the same, you know, maybe like you said, okay, Devin Booker and Beal are, you know, they're strong enough with the ball that they can just get it across half court and initiate, and then after that they're not going to be the quote unquote point guard anymore. It's just going to be, you know, all right, we're going to try to get buckets now. You know, maybe similar to how the Warriors play. You know, like where Steph isn't necessarily a pure point guard, but just, you know, bring it up, you know, get it, you know, hit the big man and let him dribble, hand off a ball, play that way. But yeah, that's you know, but defensively, like because now defensively, like again, matchup wise, like, you know, you're gonna have Kevin Durant guarding Foreman. Again, he's 7 feet tall, but I don't know if that's necessarily his forte, you know, or he even want to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just. I don't know. This is just a weird trade.
Well, let's ask this: do you think both instances with the Warriors and the Suns, not to say that they didn't get good players, but do you think it's like, is desperation the word? Like, yo,
I think it's more
we gotta get
feeding his contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Contracts. I mean, Brad Bealey and if he was in Golden State, then that's a whole different story right there.
For sure.
That would make a lot of sense.
Because then you still keep Steph at the point, and then you have, you know, Bradley Beal and Klay Thompson on either wing. I see that for sure. I mean, like I said, you know, I don't know. I mean, those guys are smarter than me. So obviously the Suns have a plan and how they're going to do it and how they're going to make it work. And I guess we'll see when the season starts in September. You know how they're planning on deploying those guys out there on the floor. But I'm just a little kid. But I guess my question is, do you feel like with the Warriors and the Suns, they're making these moves again? You always want to try to acquire as much talent as you can. But do you think it's more so they're not even worried about the fit per se, and it's just like, yo, we just got to try to get as much talent as we can?
I think it might be money too.
Just the way the money balances out with the contracts.
Yeah. Could be money because I mean it don't make sense to bring Chris Paul to Golden State. That doesn't make any sense at all.
But just like we said, those guys might have had to sign off on it. What if they said this is what we want?
Chris Paul?
I don't know how Steph and Klay Thompson feel. You know, I don't know how they feel about Chris Paul.
I think it was more of we got to get rid of this dude because he needs Draymond there. Draymond opted out to see what y'all gonna do. If y'all don't get rid of him, he's gonna go somewhere else. So they probably was like, listen, this is the only place we can unload this contract, get Chris Paul, whatever, and they probably was like, all right, whatever. I'd rather keep Draymond than not have him. You know,
right, and have Jordan Poole, right? Yeah, I could stat
because it don't make sense. Like it really don't. Like who are you gonna go after? Like if you at the end of the game, I'm gonna let Chris Paul beat me.
Right. Yeah.
I'm gonna let Chris. I'm not saying that he's a bad player. He can't hurt.
No. Right. But if you're playing the odds.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you think?
You're playing the odds.
Have at it.
I get it. I get it.
But
I
it just
get it.
doesn't make any it doesn't make any sense because it just makes them smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Steph is not, Steph will be playing the two.
Right.
So if they was
Yep.
playing Phoenix, Steph would be guarding Booker.
Right. To either pick you're picking one of the 6'6" dudes, either Devin Booker or Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And younger and more athletic. And then Chris Paul now got to guard the other one.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. You're right.
So they play Memphis. Steph is either guarding Morant
Mm-hmm.
or guarding
Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, yeah, and that's a great transition right there, Ty, because that was the next one up. So we got Porzingis. Porzingis, former draft pick of the Knicks, bounced around a little bit. Now he's in Celtics, and I know he had a really good. Porzingis had a good year this year in Washington, and then they moved him to the Celtics now, and so it looks like they're trying to keep that core intact with Tatum and Brown, and then they add another, now a big man. Porzingis is 7-footer, but he can stretch the floor and rebound and block some shots and protect the rim a little bit, but offensively he can do some things. So now you add him to the mix with the Celtics, right? So it changes their dynamic offensively, defensively, but you're losing a good wing, good perimeter defender in Marcus Smart, but you're getting a little bit of some rim protection, but you're also, Marcus Smart was I think, probably internally, and then from the outside looking in, you would say that Marcus Smart was kind of the heart and soul and the toughness of that team, and now you lose him. So how do you see that trade playing out for the Celtics? You think that, where do you think that puts them in the East? Obviously, they had the best record in the East, but then they ended up losing to the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals. But where do you think, that Porzingis, what do you think Porzingis does for the Celtics?
Well, it makes them better because outside of Tatum and Brown, everybody else is pretty much. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, it definitely gives you a big three.
Yeah,
it gives you a big three.
The way they play, I think that was a great. I mean, of course they lose Marcus Smart, but Porzingis opens up the floor.
Mm-hmm. Yep, stretches it. Yep,
opens the floor. So you got to respect that. So it's a good trade. But I think it's good for Memphis also because now homeboy gets a mentor.
Right. It makes the Celtics a little bit more athletic around the rim on defense, and it makes them younger inside.
And plus, you can listen. They Moran is out 25 games.
Mm-hmm.
It might not hurt that much now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It might not hurt that much. So
yeah.
I think it was a good. Probably, I think it was a good move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you think that? So does that make them the clear cut? They were the clear cut number one. They were the number one seed in the East last year. That solidifies them still going into next season as the number one seed. They just got to figure out how to get past the Heat.
Well, I don't think the Heat will be doing the same shit they did last year.
You think it was a flash pan?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Okay. Hey, listen, like I said, they figured out how to. There's another team that was supposed to, has a Hall of Famer on their team, couldn't figure out how to win one game. The Heat figured out how to win
one.
Who?
You talking about?
What's that?
You talking about the old man?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. They, there was a lot of excuses being made why it was okay for them to get swept, and but the Heat figured out how to not get swept. So.
Yeah, they did. They did their thing.
They did their thing. All right. So now you did mention, the Marcus Smart to Memphis. I think the wisdom, besides the players involved and all of that, I think the wisdom was bring some maturity to that team, to that locker room, another voice, somebody that hopefully will keep guys accountable. So from a basketball perspective, yes, he's a point guard, and Ja Morant's going to miss 25 games. And then, so he definitely helps, at least he's not going to do what Ja Morant does, but he solidifies it. What's that?
They got Scoot Henderson, the Trailblazers picked him up.
The Trailblazers did take him. Wow, how about that? Okay, so let the speculation begin. Okay. But yeah, what do you think? What do you think Marcus Smart does for for Memphis. Do you think he can help that team out? And
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an upgrade. Get rid of I don't even know if they need to get rid of what's the other name?
Tyus Jones.
No, the guard. What's his name?
Bain?
Brooks.
Oh, Brooks. Yes. Yeah.
No, I think it's a tremendous upgrade because he could play D. You know what I'm saying? He could run the team. You might even could slide. You can slide Morant to the 2
Mm-hmm.
and have him guard the point.
Mm-hmm.
Or have Smart guard the 2.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it gives you a little bit of flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Okay.
It's a tough team. They're gonna be tougher.
Yep. Now, with the off the court stuff and the maturity stuff, I would assume that they would hope that it's somebody that, let's just call it out, without mincing words. You would hope that it's somebody that Ja Morant might respect, might listen to, now
He'll respect him.
In what way?
Because he's going to command that respect.
But how's he going to? But can he stop him from flashing hammers on it?
I mean, he can't do that, but he'll have a influence on him. Okay. So there's nobody in the locker room that he will have to respect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Smart got a ring, right? Did he have a ring?
Yes, when the Celtics. No, because was he on the team that the Celtics? When the Celtics won, was he on the team? I know they said something. I know that they said that the Celtics have been in the playoffs every year that he's been on the team. I do know he was on the playoffs, but I'm trying to remember if he was on the team that won the title.
They said he was in shock.
Right. That's that. Yeah, we could talk about that a little bit too. But let's finish up this point.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I know they said they've been in the playoffs every year since they did that. So let me because that was something that came up, and that was an interesting thing to me. The NBA is a business, right? And all of this stuff that happens is a business. And actually, I was listening to Danny Green on one of those ESPN shows, and he was just talking about, how the NBA is a business, and, you could build a brotherhood and relationships with teammates and all of that, and the organization. And then next day, they ship you off to another team, and, it's just a business. That's the way it goes. We all know this. But do you think but I saw a report that said Chris Paul said that he found out that he was traded the first time, not to the Warriors, but when he got traded off of the Suns, the first time he was on a plane to New York, and found out that way. And then just like you said, Marcus Smart just found out just like that. Even though the NBA is a business, and let's take Marcus Smart out. Chris Paul is a Hall of Famer. He's been on the Suns for a long time. They didn't win a championship, but did right by them. Even though the NBA is a business, do you think it's, and they're grown men, all that, but do you think it's right for him, a player of his caliber, to find out that he was traded like through social media while he's on an airplane?
Chris Paul?
Yeah. So just personal to him. But let's just so personal.
No, think about it. What does Washington owe him?
Not Washington. I'm just saying.
Phoenix?
Yeah.
Oh. No, the question is, what did he do at Phoenix for them to do that? That's the question.
That's a very good and fair question. And I didn't think about it from that perspective. That's a fair. So you would think that if the player does do everything right and well respected in the organization, or the very least that they would at least give you or at least your agent the courtesy of saying, hey, just so this deal came across, we felt it was in the best interest of the team, and so we hate to see him go, but just we want you to know before it hits social media and the wires that yes, we are going to trade you, but we appreciate everything. So you do think that is the prop? Not say that the team necessarily. Well, do you think a team owes a Hall of Famer that the respect of the advance notice before it hits everything?
If it's a good relationship, Yeah.
So you think it was the sun sending a signal? This is how we feel about you, because watch what we about to watch
I mean,
this.
why would they do that to you? You know what I'm saying? Like that's not something that's intentional.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, why would they do that?
That's that. You're right. That could be a telling thing. That could be a telling thing. Okay.
Because I mean, he don't have the reputation of a likable person.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So why would they do that? Why would they? You know what I'm saying? It's like people. You know, you hear people that get divorced, they come home, and there's just a note.
Mm-hmm.
Why we no conversation? Like
Right.
scared? Like you think somebody will get beat up or something like that? They got to get out. They got to get out. It just depends. Like sometimes it goes. It may sound crazy, but
Mm-hmm.
the reason they doing it might even be crazier.
Crazy. Yeah. Right. Right. And it could be. It's like they don't have to say this is how we feel about this guy. They don't have to come out and say it, because when they do it, it kind of lets you know.
It shows. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let you know. Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. Well, we'll step away to halftime now, and I know the NBA draft is picking up, and the picks are starting to come in. So we'll take a break for halftime, and when we come back, we'll discuss what's going on, and we'll be back on Live by the Three Sports Podcast on the Evening Rush Network.
Hey, what's up, you guys? It's your girl, Chrissy, here to let you know that the Evening Rush Network now has an app. Yes, an app, you guys, so you can stay connected on the go and watch all your favorite podcast shows. You can download the app at Google Play Store or Apple iTunes. So spread the word. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Also, if you're looking to start a podcast and really don't know how, well, hit us up at the Evening Rush Network at gmail.com and inquire about time slots, pricings, and everything you may need to get started. We got you. Join the winning team, the Evening Rush Network. And also, download that app. What are you waiting for? Get to it.
All right, we are back live by the Three Sports Podcast on the Evening Rush Network. So, Ty, we got talked a little bit about the draft, and it started at 8:00, and I think the first few picks are in. So, why don't you update us? What's going on? What you got?
Our man Thompson just got picked number 3 for the Rockets.
Who is it?
Our man Thompson.
Oh wow, okay, the one of the twins. Okay.
Yeah, he just got picked up.
Okay. We know that Wemby, right? Wembanyama.
What's the dude name that went to from Portland? He's from the G League too.
Yeah, Scoot Henderson.
Scoot Henderson.
Okay.
So that's where they at right now.
So so Charlotte picked already?
Nah, Houston just picked.
And Houston had which pick?
3.
They had 3. Okay.
Portland 2.
Oh wait, but I think that must mean that Charlotte traded down, because I think Charlotte had Charlotte had the number 2 pick.
Did they? No. I thought Portland always had number 2.
I thought Portland had 3, or maybe it's the other way.
Yeah, they did. They must have traded up.
Wow, how about that?
I'm bugging. My bad. They picked Brandon Miller.
Charlotte did. Okay, so they took Brandon Miller. Okay, all right. What's that?
I said he's lucky.
Man, very lucky. Very lucky he went to school in Alabama. Lucky he went to school in Alabama. But yeah, so all right. So okay, so we'll get to we'll start with number 1. So Victor Wembanyama went number 1 to San Antonio Spurs. That was kind of, everybody's known that for a long time, that he was going to be the number 1 pick. And then when the Spurs got the number 1 pick, they knew that everyone knew he would be a San Antonio Spurs, and that's the way it went down. And I think he was, from the outside looking in, he's going into a good organization, the San Antonio Spurs, Hall of Fame coach. I believe all-time winningest coach, right? All-time wins, yeah. Greg Popovich, and they've had French superstars before, obviously, with Tony Parker. So the little built-in fan base there of his countrymen supporting that team because of the days of Tony Parker. So it's a good situation for him, good solid situation for him, which is good. Let's start with this. Make a prediction. I think we talked about this before, but let's assume he doesn't get hurt. Will he be a GOAT? Do you think he has it? Wemby.
Yeah, he will.
You think so? You think it's just too much talent and if
in the right system,
right?
He's gonna get all the support he need.
Right.
Yeah, he's gonna be there.
He's not in a crazy city. San Antonio's kind of chill. So
I want to double back on something though, real quick. Do you think it's better for Chris Paul to retire now or to keep playing? In terms of what it does to his legacy.
His legacy. I see what you're saying as far as because he keeps going because he's not going to bad teams. He's going to good teams that should be competing for a championship, and he just doesn't get it. I mean, from the outside looking in, you could say potentially that might be a good thing to do. Like just kind of like you see a boxer that's kind of like towards the end of their career, but they just keep trying to squeeze out one more fight. Maybe they should hang it up. But at the same time, you could also say he's a competitor. I think let's put it this way, if he got traded to say like the Wizards and then nothing else happened and that was the team that he was going to end up playing for, he might have contemplated retirement at that point, unless he just says, well, I'm going to just get another 45, 50 million. But he might say, you know what, this team isn't competing for a championship, so I'll just walk away. But the competitor in him, which I think you do have to respect a little bit, the competitor in him is saying, you know what, I'm getting traded to a team that on paper should have a chance. They might need to make a couple of other moves to, get to the point where they can compete with Denver maybe. But at least I'm in a situation where I have a chance to compete for a championship. So if you're trying to respect him as a competitor, then you might say, I get it why he's not going to retire.
Yeah, but how much competing can a brother do in his career? We've been competing for a minute, man.
He has been. I mean, but listen, dude's making like 45, 50 million dollars. That's a lot to walk. You know what I'm saying? It's 45 to 50 plus. You have the opportunity to compete for a championship. Like I said, if it was just you're going to get traded to the Wizards and you're just going to stay there, then he might say, you know what? Okay, I'm good. I'll call it a career. He might have done that.
If the Warriors lose.
I get what you're saying, because then it's like, oh damn, like you couldn't win with them either. I get it. I get what you're saying. But let me ask you this: I understand what you're saying, but do you respect the fact that he's willing to take the chance of the ridicule of what you're saying? He's willing to take that chance because he's like, you know what? I want another opportunity to compete for a championship. Does that give him at least a little bit of respect? I know you don't rock with him, but does that give him a little bit of respect that he's not worried about you criticizing him? He's like, yo, I'm going to try to win a ring.
Oh, the Pistons pick Asad Thompson. The other team. Okay,
they picked up. Okay, all right. Well, I mean, the Pistons been in those top 5 picks for a few years now, so they loading up. They got a few of them, but hopefully it turns around for them. All right. Okay. So you feel that Wemby is going to be, again, barring injury or anything like that. Now the Spurs are also going to see the difference with those other guys that came in. When David Robinson came in to the Spurs, they had a good solid nucleus, and so he pretty much walked into a situation where they were going to be in the playoffs. Same thing. Tim Duncan walked in. David Robinson's still there. They have a good solid nucleus. They're competing for a championship right off the bat. Then Tony Parker, all those dudes came in. They walked into great situations. His situation is a little bit different. So yeah, he could be the face of the franchise and he has all the talent, but he's not walking into the same situation that those guys walked into. So how fast can the Spurs, get to that point where they're competing like that again? Because that's the thing. In order for you to say, okay, you're going to be like, have LeBron's impact and that type of thing. I mean, LeBron came in and they started winning right away. You know what I mean? Like they were competing.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be able to do that with the Spurs, especially in the West Coast? Western
Nobody
Conference.
gonna be to guard him. You only have to worry about the Joker. That's it.
But I'm saying the whole team. But he's going to have to do a lot in the Western Conference. He's going to be good. I'm saying, but he's going to have to do a lot to get the team that they have to the playoffs in the Western Conference. He's going to have to do.
They didn't make the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs last year.
The Spurs, no.
No, it was close though, right?
I mean, I know they were. I mean, obviously they in the lottery and they got lucky with the. They didn't have the worst record, but they weren't.
And that was the year before.
Yeah, right. Because they still had my man, right? That ended up going to Chicago.
No, he's been there for a minute.
The road. Okay, he wasn't on it. Okay.
2 years.
Okay. So you're saying, all right. So here's the thing that people have been saying. They've been saying that he's going to be he's the most hyped prospect since LeBron James. And when people said that, I was like, you definitely hear his name and you see the social media and you see the clips. He's 7'3", shooting threes and blocking shots and handling the ball. So it's definitely, the intrigue has been there. And maybe it's because he's an international player as opposed to other players that if they're from the U.S. and they're playing AAU and they're on the circuit and then they go to an American college, they get hyped. So that's kind of maybe where I'm missing because I'm like, okay, I remember people talking about this dude. He's going to be the number one pick, but they're saying he's the most hyped prospect since LeBron. And I'm like, I mean, Zion Williamson a couple of years ago had a lot of hype in high school. All this viral stuff he's doing, big dude dunking and blocking shots and doing all this crazy athletic stuff. Then he goes to Duke. I mean, those games were sold out. You got presidents sitting front row watching them and, celebrities going to Duke games to watch him. And it was a huge, Zion was, it was a massive thing. So do you agree that he's been the most hyped prospect since LeBron, even over Zion, you think?
Yeah, because he's been doing it against pros.
No, I know from an ability standpoint. I'm just talking about hype. Hype. Social media coverage, all of that.
Yeah, I think they even said that if he and LeBron came out at the same time, he would go number one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's 7'3" or whatever he is, and he's he's got all the tools. That's for sure. That's for sure. I just
he can handle. You know what I'm saying? Like.
I just remember I'm just saying I'm not disagreeing with any of that about his actual ability. I'm just saying the hype train for Zion Williamson was crazy though.
Zion was number one, right?
Yes. But I'm just saying just the hype about him. You know what I'm saying? Like in high, like I said, when he was in high school and then he goes to Duke. I mean, he had Obama sitting front row. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I get it that when Wembanyama he's an international player, overseas is going to be a little bit different. But I mean, those Duke games, they always sell out. But you got celebrities in the front row watching them. I just feel like that hype. It felt like every other I felt like he got more commercials on ESPN than the NBA players. What'd you say?
Anthony Black went to Orlando.
Okay. Orlando's another. I mean, again, they've been in the lottery for the last few years, but they're another team that has been stacking some young talent. So hopefully these teams that are in the lottery, they keep stacking these young players and they can get it together and flip it a little bit. So I don't know. I to me personally, I just feel like Zion had a little bit more hype again, but he was an American and played at Duke and all of that, so that definitely plays into it. But I just feel like again, not saying that Zion is a better player than Wembanyama or will be a better player, but I just feel like he may, to me, the hype seemed bigger with him. But so Zion Williamson, what have you been? You may not have been following it, but have you heard what's been going on with this dude? Because he don't play enough games for it to be on the court stuff. So it's now it's creeping into the off the court stuff. So how much have you heard what's been going on with this dude? And what are your thoughts? They're saying he's got a baby on the way. With a lady. There's some criticism because she's I believe I don't want to say substantially, but she's a little bit older than him. So there's that dynamic. And then comes out that he was allegedly in a relationship with another woman who, her profession is not, I don't know how relevant it is, but she has a profession.
She's a
And,
pro. She's a pro too.
No, not from my understanding, but
Yeah, she's a pro.
I don't know that. I'm not saying that. I believe she does some adult entertainment, but that, again, I'm not, listen, it's a job, right? So I'm not judging. But allegedly he was having a relationship with her as well. And she came out very strong on social media, blasting him and the whole thing, and threatened to expose him, and some you know, possibly some videos and some threats going on. But and then from my understanding, Twitter suspended her account. But the weird thing is that allegedly part of her thing was she said that she was going to release all of these tapes in unless the New Orleans Pelicans traded him.
Yeah, there's some blackmail shit going on. I
Yeah,
think
but
gotta get him out.
Yeah, but my thing is, so okay, yeah, so break that down for me. Like, not the actual sex tape stuff, but I don't what is this a straight up and down thing, or is him and Zion and his people in on this, like, to try
I
to
think
force
so.
the him?
A lot of it.
If that's the truth, what I'm not gonna say what are we doing, because I'm not involved in this, but I'm just like, is that what's going on? Or is that where we're at? That you got, this is what we're doing now, that you got mistresses threatening.
No, you know what?
NBA
Because
like,
listen,
what are we doing here?
she said he don't deserve to be in Memphis, and I was like, Memphis? I mean,
Right.
New Orleans. Like
Right.
that just was like New Orleans. Like New Orleans doesn't deserve him. I'm like, why not? Like
Right.
New
Right.
Orleans. It's not
Right.
like LA or New York. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just like,
New
yo,
Orleans is a nice
I'm
city.
just like, it was just weird that she said that. I'm just like,
I guess she's repping for her. Maybe she's
so I
born and
think
raised
she's
in-
trying to strong on New Orleans to trade him. That's probably part of it. But sometimes people do that. They leak their own stuff,
right.
for for a goal. You know what I'm saying? Because he ain't the only one that's been in that.
Oh, no, for sure. It's definitely, for sure it's blackmail, and I'm sure they're trying to do some behind the scenes stuff to not have that out there, because embarrassment or whatever the case is. Yeah, but I'm sure Jordan Brand is not going to be happy about that if a sex tape ends up leaking. He got the endorsement. Obviously, the league is not going to be happy about it. I'm sure he's got a lot of people in his ear saying, "Yo, man, you got to get this situation under control, because there's a lot riding." I mean, you were number one pick. You haven't played that many games, but you're still the face of that organization. It's similar to Ja Morant. And then like I said, you're a brand endorser and all of that. So I'm sure they're not happy about all of this craziness that's going on. So I'm sure he's got a lot of people telling him, like, yo, man, you got to get this situation under control, because this is not a good look on a lot of different fronts. And do you think it's worse for him because of kind of the way that his career has gone so far? Like, if he was lighting it, you don't think so?
No. So once he stepped, before he got hurt, they was the number one team in the West.
But I'm saying the fact that, again, he came in with a lot of hype, huge hype. They were playing well when he was out there, but he's been hurt a lot, missed way more games. It's not even like a 50-50 split. He's missed way more games than he's played in, way more. And and now it's just like you're doing, you got all of this stuff going on. And again, it's your private life, but at the end of the day, if you're the number one pick in NBA and you have all that hype behind you, how private is your life really? Because
South Carolina, like, he ain't used to that type of attention.
That's true, but don't at certain points you have to know that about yourself?
He's not right now. He's only 3 years in the league. He's young. Not yet. He ain't seasoned yet.
He's not seasoned, but let's just call it what it is. If you're simple, don't you think you should keep your life simple then? If you're simple,
yeah, but once you get exposed to
move simple.
If you get but you got to be in an environment where you can continue to move simple.
And that's why when you said you was criticizing New Orleans, like, You in New Orleans now.
No, I mean, but
there.
she was talking about the organ. The
Deserves
organization doesn't deserve the organization. Like, they need to
Right.
get rid of him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just
And she wants to force their hand by
trying to force their hand. Like, why is that even important to you? Are you even from New Orleans? Like,
yeah, that would be my assumption, that she's ride or die, New Orleans, born and raised, and she's like, I'm repping for my city. I'm gonna put on, and I'm gonna help him out by getting rid of this dude, and maybe just off the strength of like, yo, this dude ain't even play. He's hurt.
who are they gonna bring in? Julius Randle? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the alternative.
But me personally, I don't think it would be a good move for him to be in New York. That's, I don't think so. I think that's, you went from the frying pan to the fire with that.
I think he'd be all right in New York, though.
When you think about your opportunity now,
because it's like, it's wide open. You out there, you on Front Street. You can't necessarily hide. You know what I'm saying? So everything in New Orleans, you can do what you do and nobody will really know. Not in New York. That shit gonna be everywhere. So you it's almost like self-check a little bit.
If you understand that and move according and that's what I'm saying, as far as like, if you know you're simple, then move simple. If you are simple and you're trying to move like you're not simple in New York, come on, man. No. He will get swallowed a lot, because the people are more sophisticated. Him being simple, what he'll go through is more sophisticated than what probably. And I'm not trying to dismiss New Orleans or say New Orleans. I'm just saying the stuff that'll happen to him in New York will be way more sophisticated.
Yeah, but you don't think he know that though?
If
you don't think he will be like, nah, I can't even do this here.
You would hope so. That's my whole point. That if you know you're simple, then you got to move simple. Say, hey, listen, I don't care where I'm at. I could be in New York City. I'm staying in the crib. I'm not going nowhere. I'm not interacting with nobody. And I'm gonna go from I'm gonna have my crib is gonna be across the street from the practice facility, if not in the same building. And that's what I'm doing. And I go from there to the practice facility. I Uber Eats all of my meals. And that's it. I'm not going to no restaurants, not going to no clubs. I'm not talking to no investors, because that's what I'm saying about the swindle will be way different in New York, because now you're going to have business people. It's good, not to say they don't have that in New Orleans, but I'm just saying that the sophistication of the stuff he could get caught up with negatively will be way different in New York, because it's going to be more sophisticated. That it's going to be a whole different ball game. So you will hope that. And that's where I go back to with Ja Morant. You will hope that the people around him would say to him, like, look, dude, you're not really like this. So you just listen, don't worry about it. We'll bring all your meals in. Maybe every once in a while, you can go to a Yankee game and throw out the first pitch or do something. What we're gonna keep it real simple for you. You ain't gonna be in the 40-40. You ain't gonna be, at these. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. But all right. Okay. So, all right. So where we at? Where we at with the draft? What's the latest?
Jarvis Walker. The Wizards just picked him up.
Okay. Yeah, Wizards Allen Talent. So let's talk about this Scoot Henderson situation. So I saw some speculation again. NBA is a lot of rumors going on right now, but there was, some people were saying, that I guess are in the know, that, again, obviously NBA teams are going to stock talent and they're going to take the best player available in the draft. But, and Scoot Henderson was one of them, but Scoot Henderson is a point guard. So with Portland taking him, it could be one of two things. Does that give Damian Lillard, I don't know if an excuse is the right word, but the motivation to say, okay, you guys drafted another point guard and a young dude. All right, get me out of here. That's one way to look at it. Or is it the organization saying, okay, Dame, you've been here 11 years. We haven't won. So we're going to basically draft your replacement. And yes, now we'll be willing to move you to another situation. Do you think either one of those things are possible?
Yeah, it's possible.
Both of them, or which one do you think is more likely?
I don't think he's going to ask for a trade. So I
So
think
you think he would be comfortable with playing, because from what we're hearing, at least again, and I don't know, I'm not an NBA insider. From what some people speculated, is that he actually told the organization that they would prefer for them to trade the number 2 pick for a veteran. So, you know what I mean? Someone that he can try to win with right away, not go with a rebuild of a rookie and go through that process. And obviously,
time.
What's that?
There's still time.
Perhaps, but then it goes back to this kind of what we were saying with the Warriors with the Jordan Poole and Draymond situation. If he goes to management and says to them, "Hey, man, I think it's better for us and where I am in my career and where the team is, that y'all should probably move that pick, bring in a veteran so we can try to win." And the team says, "Nope, we're not doing that. We're going to draft a younger player, a rookie, and he plays the same position as you do." Do you think that's them sending a signal to him to be like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you've been here and you've done right by us, but we're not going the direction that you want to go.
I think he knows that already. Over the years, I think he knows that they're not putting all their best efforts for him to win. So I think that's not a surprise. He's just a loyal dude, but he's just not, it's like, I'm not going to leave you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be me type of thing.
Right.
It might be that.
So now, do you, and obviously we don't know what their motivation would be, but do you see that as them saying, okay, if you're the owner or the GM of the Trailblazers, if it was you, would you try to do it with those two together? Or would you say, okay, no, we haven't won with you, necessarily. So, y'all kind of play the same position. So we'll start fresh with this dude. If it was you,
I would start fresh.
Start fresh and move him. Okay.
Because you can get a lot for Dame right now.
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Just build for the future.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Okay.
Not win the championship.
No. No. Not even. That's why you got the number 2 pick. What was they? Number 2, right?
Number 3.
3. Yes, they were number 3. They were number 3. Charlotte had number 2. Yeah, okay. Right. That's why they had number 3 pick. Yeah, they didn't win it nothing. So now what teams potentially do you see being a good fit for him? If that's what ends up happening, that they do move him. What teams say, let's the West Coast teams are starting to stack up a little bit. What say a team on the East Coast in the Eastern Conference you think could be a good fit for him?
Boston.
Miami. I heard the Miami thing.
Milwaukee.
Miami and Milwaukee.
Milwaukee might be a good, especially if this dude opts out. Well, he opted out already.
Middleton, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That would definitely. So let's look at those 2 teams. Now, obviously, Miami. Miami got by the Celtics, but you thought that was a flash in the pan. They couldn't do it again. But if Miami adds Damian Lillard, do you think that puts them up in that echelon with them?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same thing for the Milwaukee. You feel like if they add him, that puts them right there.
Well, they was right there. They just played bad.
Right. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. It'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. But and there's still more to come, right? Because free agency, I think, starts in a couple of weeks, and you got dudes opting out. So you're gonna have some dudes that opt out and move to new teams. It's like even like with the Draymond situation. Obviously, somebody would take him, but it would just be really weird to see him on another team. You know what I mean? Like even like if Klay Thompson was to leave, you know what I'm saying? I could see it, but Draymond not being, I don't know. I think more so, obviously Steph not being on the Warriors would be shocking, but I think more so than anybody else on that team, if Draymond wasn't there, it'd be weird.
Yeah, it would definitely.
It would be weird. So. So you got him, you got Middleton, a bunch of other guys that opted out. So
you think Middleton's going to be signed?
He's been hurt a lot, so like that's the thing is like he may want to come back and but he's going to want his max money, And then it's like, if you're Milwaukee, do you give him the, a max, not a max contract, but give him, what he might feel his market value is for a dude that misses a lot of games? That, to me, that's a lot of it. You know what I mean? It's the your best ability is availability. So a lot of these dudes, like, they can want to go to these places and think they owe this money, but if you're not out there, especially if I'm an owner and GM, I'm like, what am I paying for? Like the whole thing with Paul George, right? Like, that was something that came up as, Paul George getting moved, and the Knicks were supposedly really interested, but then I heard that they backed out because he's owed a lot of money, and it's like, yeah, Paul George is an all-star, but it's like he's always hurt. So what are you paying for? You know what I mean? And if you're trying to win a championship like the Knicks, okay, they were middle of the pack in the East, they're trying to move up spots. Yeah, okay, you add Paul George. If he's out there playing, does he make the Knicks a better team? Absolutely. But if he misses half the season or more and then he's out for the playoffs, like what are you really getting? So I think that's a lot of it with these dudes is, the injury piece, especially as big as the contract. And, obviously the contract got big, the salary cap's going up and the teams are making a lot of money. But at a certain point, it's just $45 million is still a lot of money to only get, 42 games and no playoffs out of somebody.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm glad, we had a little hiatus, man. So I'm glad that we got back at it. Had a fun show. We caught up on on some stuff. So, there'll be more to come in the NBA off season and NFL off season. The teams are taking a little break, but they'll be back at it in a few weeks with a training camp and stuff like that. So,
by the Jazz.
What's that?
Taylor Hendricks from UCF.
Oh, the kid from Central Florida. Okay, yeah. Nah, he was lighting it up this year. Yeah, he was lighting it up this year. Good player. I like to see that when those guys get the smaller schools get guys that high picks. I like to see that dudes that put in work. All right, so we'll continue watching the draft and we'll update that next week. So we'll sign off for now. So on behalf of Tyler, this is Coach Matt. Another episode of Live Out of 3 Sports Podcast, and we'll catch y'all next week on the Evening Rush Network. Peace.
Peace.
But when you talk about the defensive component